Thanks, Sue.
Katie and Alex, right?
Yes.
Alex. Okay. Katie and Alex, I want to thank you guys so much for being here on the Pet Pig podcast. I'm excited to talk to you today. Your pig is adorable. I can't wait to hear all the things about her. And so just thank you.
You're welcome.
So tell us a little bit about yourselves. Are you both animal lovers? Was this idea one person's?
Oh, that's a complicated question. That's a complicated question.
Do you want to go?
Sure. I guess to the first point, yeah, both animal lovers. Katie, you've had.
I've had, we don't come from a farm family myself, but we've had horses, rabbits, we had a dog, fish, we always had some type of pet around the house.
Yeah, and I've always been around dogs, but I've had two dogs myself. A scorpion, I think, was the weirdest pet, if you
Ooh.
need to call it that, right? Yeah, a little strange. Hamsters, gerbils, that sort of thing. But I always thought like the pig thing was a little bit strange. Katie had always wanted a pig, and so I mean, there's a kind of a bit of a sad moment there.
You can tell it. I'll tell it.
Yeah.
So basically, we had, this. I had originally saw an ad for another pig on Kijiji, and I was in love with it completely, and I was like, yeah, let's bring this pig home, and we knew nothing. This was like we were just like, let's like cute pig, let's get it. And he was like, okay. So we got this pig, and we realized that there was so much we didn't know, and within a couple of days, we realized we were like, we can't do this, right? We didn't know anything. We had the people we had gotten her from. She had they didn't really give us any information about her. They're like, oh yeah, she had vaccines, but we didn't know anything. So there was a lot that we didn't know. And we, gave her someone who knew how to really take care of her. And then we thought about it again, and we're like, we really do want this. So like, let's educate ourselves. Let's figure this out. Let's ask questions. And that's what we did.
I mean, that's putting it very delicately. Sort of, it was a very, very reluctant parting. I very much, especially, like, it kind of flipped on its head. Katie had always wanted a pig, and then when we were giving her up, I was like, oh no, like we if we really thought this through, like I don't know. And then the moment that we said goodbye to her, I was absolutely devastated, and I like cried for like weeks and just could not get over it. And so yeah, I think that's probably about when we started looking for another pig. Because there was something missing now, and I was just so heartbroken that it was like, no, like I can't imagine my life now without a pig. And it was just, I'd never expected that for a moment.
Yeah, that's so funny how it happens. Um, when you bring home any new animal, it's like, oh gosh, what did I do? What did I get myself into? So being educated really helps. It
Yeah.
helps things go more smoothly. But I think we've all done that. I've actually done that like 4 or 5 times. I went and picked up a cow and I was like, okay, now how do I take care of this thing? So, so how old was the pig when you got it? Was it still a piglet?
We're not
We're not sure.
sure. They
Okay.
told us she was 10 weeks old, but
Okay.
when we got Snuggles, Snuggles was also 10 weeks old, and she was about this big, and that pig was like this big.
Yeah, that pig looked more like Snuggles at 6 to 8 months and had all of its adult teeth. So
Oh,
definitely not 10 weeks old.
Yeah.
okay.
But very much looking for affection. Like soon as we brought her in, she was in my lap, like cuddling up and this sort of thing. So yeah,
And she definitely came from a bad situation, not saying anything else about that, but like definitely there was some stuff
yeah,
there
there were marks on her and stuff, and
Oh,
yeah.
she
oh,
was
that's
desperate
so,
to be loved.
my goodness. So that was actually a really good experience for your first pig.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
yeah.
mean, it could have been way worse. Oh my goodness. No wonder you were in love with her, Alex. She was
Oh
so
yeah,
cute.
no, I don't know what it is with me and animals. But for some reason they just like they sense something from me and they just go right to me
Mm.
because she was immediately just like latched on to me, and yeah, yeah, it was it was quite the experience.
Oh, that's sweet though. So then after that, you were like, we got to do this.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
do it right. So then what did you do? How did you go about finding another one?
So I just started looking around a bit, and I saw it was another Kijiji ad. So I don't know if you guys have Kijiji, but basically it's just online selling
Yeah,
for various Craigslist,
Craigslist.
basically. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's like Craigslist. And so I looked around and I saw a breeder that was selling baby pigs. So I was like, oh, like maybe we should start with a baby. And we inquired about them. We asked a lot of questions. We had a couple Zoom calls with them. The woman who her and her partner were selling them, they were like, oh, like, we've had pigs for years, so ask away. And we asked all these questions, and a lot of their pigs were house pigs too. So we're like, okay, potty training, what is her temperament like, all of those things. And then we reached, so this was November of 2020, and they're like, oh, we want the cutest and nicest one. And they were like, oh, it's this one. And they're like, it's the only one that hasn't been spoken for. And we're like, okay. And then they messaged us back and they're like, oh, actually someone got that pig. And we're like, oh, okay, like maybe this isn't meant to be. And then they messaged us again, and we're like, actually, we messed it up with another one because they're all very similar.
Okay.
I'm like, actually, that one is available. We're like, yes, that's ours. And then December 21st, I think we want in gutter and bought her home.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
okay.
Yeah.
it's quite
So,
funny too, because I actually got very upset when we thought she wasn't available. I was like, no, like that is the one that we want. Like, I don't know if I want one now if we're not able to get her. So
right. So sounds like a very good situation too with a breeder that knew what they were doing. If they have house pigs,
yeah.
wow, that's kind of rare even for breeders to have a house pig.
Mhm.
So that's good. It definitely sounds like you got her from somebody who knew what they were doing, who probably tried their best to do it ethically and do it well. So that's really good. So then they were able to help and answer all your questions.
Yeah,
Good.
definitely.
That's really good. So then would you tell us a little bit about your pig? What is her name, her personality, her age, all that stuff?
You want me to go first? Okay, I'll go first with this one.
Okay.
So her name is Snuggles. She is about 3.5. She'll be 4 in November. And I guess her personality shifted a lot in the last couple years. Like
Oh
she was
yeah.
very cuddly and like, very like wants to be with you all the time. And probably from, her terrible twos to now, she's kind of shifted to leave me alone, I'm grumpy, and very sassy. Like she's
Yeah.
very, very sassy
Very
now.
sassy.
Which is, I think is like her shifting as she gets a little bit older. But she's still very sweet. She is a sweetheart. She gets very upset when one of us is gone for a long period of time. But she's definitely shifted a lot in her like just general temperament.
Yeah. She used to really like, especially obviously when she was very small, she'd want to be around you all the time, but she'd do things like fall asleep on my chest, or have sort of this like huggy thing that you put on, right? Yeah. So it's like a lined hoodie, very soft. She'd go up inside it and fall asleep on my lap, or like climb up and stick her head at the top. And she'd sleep on my lap in this when I was working. And even as she got bigger, she would lay down outside my office in her little kind of donut bed, and I'd come out on breaks and cuddle up beside her and just fall asleep next to her for a nap. And she was fine with that. And kind of right up until like maybe the last year or so, and then I think it was like I went away on a vacation in Mexico, and she got upset with me. And when I came back, she's been super distant, and it's like she doesn't even really want to be touched. It's changed a lot, and I think sort of we're trying to figure out, like, is she still just like, I'm not sure how to deal with that experience, or is it like a permanent personality change, or is she still like annoyed with me, like not sure. So
We're trying to
that's
rebuild it a bit,
yeah.
rebuild that like relationship that maybe she felt like you left her for.
Yeah,
Yes.
but it kind of speaks to the emotional complexity of pigs, I guess, and that's something that a lot of people I feel don't understand. They're not the same as dogs. They're not even really comparable to dogs. So
Mm-mm. No, It's funny. It's that emotional component and the ability to hold a grudge and
Yes.
punish you.
And I
It's
think that's what it is she knows I want to cuddle with her. She knows that I want her to come up in the bed and cuddle with me. And I think she's maybe punishing me for that, for going
Mhm.
away. So I've gone away on a couple week-long trips now, and every time she gets annoyed with me. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, they get mad. Because like to a pig, you don't when you're living in a herd, nobody goes
Nobody
away.
leaves. Yeah.
Nobody leaves. They stick together. So it's like a whole new way of living for them, and they don't like it. They don't like it because then it's almost like we kind of lose some of their trust.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Plus you came back smelling different. So it's like, is this really Alex? Is this my buddy? Like, I'm not sure because you
Yeah.
smell so different when you come back. Um, but I think I can see where she got her name from.
Yeah. And she was we had it took us a couple days to figure out her name. We were down, the last two were Snuggles and Snuffles, and we went with Snuggles because she kept cuddling. So
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is very common for pigs as they grow to kind of come out of that cuddly phase, and now they're more mature, and inside of a herd they're more competitive. Pigs
Yeah.
are very competitive over everything. And so I can say that a lot of times when pigs hit 3, that's a very mature age for a pig. They kind of mature, they kind of calm down a little bit. But then when they hit 5, they calm way down. My pig from 2 to 3 was I didn't even want her in the house because
No.
she got into everything. She was tipping chairs over. She was constantly restless, like moving around, getting in, like going into rooms and things she wasn't supposed to go into. She was
No.
driving me crazy.
Relatable.
But now she's 5, and now in the house, she's so much more calm. She
Yeah.
just kind of lays, I mean, she definitely comes in and does a once over, like, is there any food anywhere here on the floor? But then she just wants to lay in her bed or lay on her heating pad. Um, so there's hope that maybe she will kind of come back into that more snuggly
Yeah.
personality as
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
gets
well,
older.
yeah, I can definitely see that. Because last year I always said she would, like I said terrible twos because she was very snappy and
Yeah.
she was like swiping a lot, only at us, no one else. Like if we had friends over or she saw someone we were outside, she was super nice. And she's come out of that, like in this probably in the last like 4 or 5 months. She
Oh,
doesn't
good.
really do as much. So she's going through some stages.
But she
Hmm.
does get into everything. Especially if she's home alone with me. I'll, turn away for a couple minutes to do some work thing, and then I'll hear her like trying to open a cupboard door or something, right? And she's got like the chia seeds out on the floor and trying to get into them. Yeah,
Hmm.
that sort of thing.
Yes. Definitely, definitely a perpetual toddler who you can't turn your back on
Yeah.
because they do get into everything.
Yeah.
Um, okay. So let's talk a little bit more about like kind of her personality or like what she does during the day. Does she know any tricks?
Yeah, so she knows a few. So the main one is dance, which basically, she spins in a circle.
Oh yeah.
She can tell her left from her right when she does that. So if she does, we'll say dance, she does it one way, and then we'll tell her dance right or left, whichever one she didn't do, or dance the other way. So she'll do that.
Yeah.
She's learned a good kiss, which is basically just booping her with your nose. We taught her that to kind of curb the biting.
Oh yeah.
But that one's really cute. She does it to everybody that she comes in. If she's comfortable with them, she'll go over and give them a kiss. Anything else?
Well, she knows different like associations in terms of like she's kind of got a little rusty at it now because we haven't done it training for quite as much, but like she's got several different balls. So telling her to get like a specific ball, that's something that she used to be quite good at it. She's kind of okay at it now. But she knows how to if you tell her like to bring something, she knows how to do that.
Wow, that's pretty
Um,
cool.
yeah, she taught herself one actually, which is whenever she wants to have a drink, she will go get her bowl and push it to wherever you are, and then she'll stand it up on its edge, rested like the top is rested on her nose and the bottom is rested on the floor. She'll hold it up so it's like facing you empty, and then like hold it for a few seconds and drop it again. And if you don't do it anything, she'll hold it up again and then drop it again. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. She's communicating with you.
Oh yeah.
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 And I thought I saw on your Instagram that she knows how to push some buttons.
We've been slowly doing that. She doesn't know it as much. So we bought her some communication buttons for Christmas. We so far have only used two. So one for her to request something to drink. And then we also have one outside of Alex's office because she'd want to go up and see him, and his office door is always closed because she can't go in there. So we have it's called a big pig button, and so she'll push big pig when she wants to see him. And so we have that one up by his office.
And she knows that one too. She hasn't used it as much lately. But sometimes when she gets like really wants to see me, she'll go up and it's right next to the office door. She'll push it and then she'll just stare at the door. So, you know.
Yeah, that's so cute. That's really nice. I love those buttons because obviously there's a language barrier there. And so pigs can get frustrated because we can't figure out what they want.
Understand.
But the
Yeah.
buttons are really incredible because they enable the pig to communicate with you, and then it relieves a lot of that frustration, which that frustration a lot of times can turn into aggression, and it can turn into destruction. So by using those buttons, I mean, keep doing that. That's only going to benefit your family. So that's really cool that you guys are doing that. I love that. But she does pretty well in the house. Like, I know she
Oh,
gets
yeah.
into some things, but like
Yeah.
potty training and all that stuff.
It took us a while to get her potty trained. The breeders mentioned to us that it only take a short time. Like their pig was trained in a matter of like days. She took a little bit longer. And I don't know if it was because we originally were in a smaller space and we didn't get her out as much. We also got her again during December, so we didn't take her outside as often because I was like, she's so little, she's gonna freeze. So she didn't really get outside, minus a few visits out to various things until like February. So I think that was a big thing that she didn't have that, association with outside, or if I don't go outside, I pee on this, whatever. But she is potty trained. She will get into things, as we said, that's, normal, I guess. And she's always constantly busy. So she's always doing something unless she's napping. So.
Oh yeah. Yes. Pigs are, and some are very busy and some are so lazy, you can't even get them to move. I have one of each. So, Katie, you said that you grew up having horses. Do you find that pigs, as far as the hierarchy situation goes, do you find that similar to horses?
I would say, yeah, because like Snuggles has like if Snuggles wants protection or she's scared to run to Alex, like she sees him as the big pig. When we're out for walks, she'll follow him. My horse saw my dad the same way. He was like, I don't know, big horse or whatever. Like he was the one that was the main person, and my horse Casper wouldn't listen to me at all. It was only my dad, and if my dad yelled at him, he would apologize. Like he would lay his head on my dad's shoulder and be like, I'm sorry. So yeah, so definitely I can see that a very similar thing.
Yeah, I usually tell people that if you've had horses growing up, like really not just had horses in a pasture, but like actually had horses, rode horses, worked with horses, then you do excellent with pigs because they actually think very similarly. And so like that hierarchy thing, like you have to be the boss.
Yeah.
With a horse, if you're not the boss, that's a dangerous situation.
Yeah.
And even for a pig, even though they're a smaller animal, it's the same. It can be a danger and it can be a nightmare because if you have a pig that is in their mind is top hog, then you have a pig that's going to be mean. You have a pig that's going to be destructive. You have a pig that's going to pee everywhere because it doesn't respect your rules. And so yeah, I always like to ask horse people that question but everybody says the same thing. They are similar.
Yeah.
There's a few things that I kind of do to reinforce that, and I've done over the years to reinforce it with Snuggles, which is like and like you can see it in her behaviors. Like for example, just today, she had waited quite a long time to have her morning pee, and as soon as I came downstairs, she like made eye contact with me, walked over to her potty space, and like had her potty and looked at me the whole time because she wanted to show me that she was having a good potty. But and I think unless you kind of understand pigs a little better, people might think this is a little bit cruel, but it's like you'll be out in the backyard or something, and you tell her like it's time to come in, and she ignores you, right? And you say like come more firmly, and she ignores you. Well, the next thing I do is go over and give her a good hard push on the shoulder and say come, right? And it's because that's exactly what a pig would do, right? They wouldn't let the other pigs in the herd ignore them. If they ignore them, they give them a good shove and say, hey, listen now, right? So and it sounds ridiculous, but I will bark at her. When she's snapped at me in the past, I've given her a gentle nibble on the ear. But that's the thing.
That's a first. That's a first.
But then she gets it, right? Because and she'll like look sad and look small, because that's exactly what a larger pig would do, right? Little nibble on the nose, little nibble in the ear to tell you, hey, try it, I dare you.
Yeah.
And it's like,
and
no,
for a pig, it's not a little nibble. Like
Yeah.
they are brutal with each other.
Yeah.
If you guys have ever, which you only have one pig, but when you put two pigs together who don't,
you've seen it. Yeah, it's vicious.
If we can tell a funny story, not funny, but little
yeah,
story.
go ahead.
So we obviously we know there's a big pig community here in our province. So we were talking with someone who I follow on Facebook, a pig named Penelope. And we were like, let's have them meet. And like, because I'm thinking, and Penelope's not, was small. She just turned one.
Okay.
So she was still very little. And I was like, Snuggles is going to be super nice to her because the only other pig Snuggles has met after moving from her home was her brother, and she was still very little. So we're like, oh, she's going to be fine. She's going to take care of this little pig. She had her hackle went up. She like got this like smirk on her face, like little like beady eyes, and she tried to go after her, and we were like, oh my gosh. But like that's what she was doing, was she was like, you're smaller than me, I'm gonna show you and like we're like, who's this pig? Like you're completely different like than what we know. Like you should be nicer. And she was just like, no, I'm going to go after you.
And Penelope, for her part, was being very, very submissive, right? Turning her butt toward her, wagging her tail, right? Just being like, please, like I respect you, like it's okay. But Snuggles wanted to do what I think most pig owners aren't comfortable with, right? Which is chase Penelope around the yard, right? Give her a couple little nips, and then they would have been fine. But I think most pet owners are not okay with the concept of another pet chasing them down and biting them as a way to say hi. But that's pigs, right? Like that's how it is.
Yeah, pigs are not comfortable with anyone or anything, even another pig, until they know where they fit in. They have to know where they fit in the hierarchy. So really, they were just being pigs. That's what pigs do. She wasn't doing anything wrong. She wasn't doing anything bad. That is what pigs do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's very shocking when you see it for the first time. And I have a lot of people who message me and they're like, we have this great pig and then we just brought another one home and it's a bloodbath. What do I do? And like, this is normal. If you let them work it out. Now, there are things that we can do. Like we can put some Vaseline on their ears. We can put some coconut oil on their ears, something to make them more slippery so that they can't get a good hold of them. But don't step in. You need to let them work it out, because the more we step in, it actually makes it worse. Next time they're still not sure. And so then it gets bad. It can get so bad. So yeah, that's very normal pig behavior. But yeah, you're right, Alex. It is hard to watch. Especially if your pig is the one getting beat up on by somebody else's pig. Like this is your baby. You know.
No, but you gotta let it happen, because that's what the pigs are expecting, right? And that's just the nature of having pigs.
And it's hard for us to watch because we don't live by a hierarchy.
We don't see it as acceptable. Yeah.
No, it's not
But we are
accepted.
pigs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we don't speak that language, but the thing is, like, pigs, they don't take that personal. They
Yeah.
understand what's happening. They know why this is happening. They know how to get through it. It's not really hard on them.
Yeah.
It's just it's harder on us. So
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, that is a funny story. That would be a shock. What is Snuggles' favorite thing to do?
That's a good question.
I guess it really depends. Up until about 8 months ago, I would have, or even 6 months ago, I would have said cuddling in bed. She really used to love that. Probably pushing her ball. Like she really likes her. She's got one of those big treat balls. She likes
Mhm.
pushing her ball. I guess maybe the other thing should. Oh no, lick mat.
Lick, she loves,
Lick
yeah,
mat.
we have a
Yeah.
peanut butter lick mat every day for her. So she loves like lick mat time's her favorite time of
Yeah,
the
that's
day.
got to be the favorite. Yeah, hands down, hands down.
She does, I mean,
Looking
this
for
is a list
apples.
of things. She does like going on for walks. She'll like run after Alex. She gets so excited.
Yeah.
But only if he's out. She won't walk with me.
Yeah,
So
she won't follow Katie up the road. I have to be there for her to leave the yard.
but she gets very excited.
Aw.
And we also have an apple tree in the backyard, so she likes hunting for apples
Oh, yeah.
this time of year. So
Mhm.
It's a
Yes.
game. Katie runs around trying to pick up the apples while Snuggles tries to grab the apples. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a competition right there. I bet Snuggles wins a lot.
no, I win.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, she has to come out. She has a potty, so that gives me like 30 seconds, and then she also stops and chews an apple if she finds one. So then it gives me another like 30 seconds.
Oh, and the look on her face, the look on her face. So if she finds an apple, she'll like look over at you and have like a big smile as she chomps it. Yeah, like look, I got one. I got one.
Oh, that's so cute. That's so cute. We have an apple tree too. And my pig, she loves, before she comes in, she has to make her little circle
That
to make
circle,
sure she
yeah.
hasn't missed any of the apples. And she competes with the goats, but it's kind of funny. Our goats are fainting goats.
Oh no.
So she knows that if she scares them,
They're just gonna stiff it up and fall right over.
they'll
Yeah.
faint, and then she has time to get all the apples. So
So
she
she just has to
she
charge in and
wins.
bark at them, and they'll just yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's quite comical. It's amazing like how intelligent they are and how they can figure those things out.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing. What do you think has been the biggest challenge for you guys having a pet pig in the house?
Well, we both work from home, so for me it'd be like managing work while also making sure she's not, eating the wall or like getting into
Right.
something. But I mean, that's kind of been the biggest thing is being able to still do your job and keep an eye on her because she doesn't. We're currently rent, so we don't have a space cordoned off for her. She just kind of free range in the house. So that's kind of, I would say, for me. I don't know if that's the same for you.
Yeah, it's and it kind of extends beyond that, right? So like I would kind of describe it as like the permanent toddler effect, where like you are if you're alone with Snuggles in particular, then like you have to constantly be around and look after her until it's bedtime. And there's no escaping that. You have to be there with her. But when you leave as well, it goes with you and you worry about her. So yeah, it's like I've had dogs before, and when you leave a dog at home alone, like you might miss them, but you don't have that constant thought of God, I hope they're okay. Where with the pig, I feel like because there's that additional attachment and they understand that you've left, I really feel a lot of guilt leaving Snuggles alone or even leaving her with a sitter because I know she understands that I'm not there. So it's difficult.
Yeah, she takes that personal, even
Yes.
though
Yes, she
we
does.
don't mean it personally. We just need to go, for work or vacation or whatever.
Yeah.
But but they take it as we're deserting them.
Yeah.
And that is definitely a challenge. I can see both of those as challenges. I learned a long time ago that my life is kind of a nightmare when my pig free roams constantly because it's constant checking. What are you doing? Are you into
No.
something? What are you doing? Please don't. Oh my gosh. We built this house ourselves 8 years ago. And I'm telling you that if my pig eats the drywall, my husband is going to evict me. Like that can't happen. That can't happen. So we have spaces for her, but again, we own this house, we own the property, so we can do whatever we want. So I have like 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 places that she can go when I can't be watching her. So we have a crate on the porch, and our porch is great because it always has a breeze. So she really likes it, but it's shaded. We
No.
have a place in the yard that she can be when it's beautiful outside and she can eat her little bit 4x4 of grass, because if I don't give her a limit on grass, she'll eat it all. We have a place on the back porch. We have a place in the basement, and our floors are heated down there. So that's
Nice.
her
Yeah.
favorite place to be because she wants to be on that heated floor. But then in our house, then we also have her bed, which has a heating pad on it, and that heating pad has a 2-hour timer. So when that thing's on, she's on it. So I have all these places where I can put her, because otherwise I can't sit here and do this.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I've tried bringing her in the office with me. Oh my gosh, no. She knows how to open my bookshelf, and she pulls all the books off the bookshelf. I'm like, oh my goodness. So it is a perpetual toddler, but that has helped me so much when it comes to not having to watch them every single second, because that is definitely a
Yeah,
challenge.
no, definitely is a thing. Like, but she's right now, she's been doing a thing where she's taking her naps in the afternoon. So
Mm.
like, if one of us is watching her, we can do a little bit of work. And then like, obviously while she's busy with her toys, we can do a little bit downstairs, not as much. And then do, as like right now she's asleep. So like if you wanted to work in the evenings, you could. Or the one kind of connects to that is like being able to do things during the day. So if one of us is gone or one of us has to be in a meeting or something, we'll get a sitter to watch her.
Mm.
So we have a very good friend who will come over and do that. Or there's a pet sitting service who they watch pigs too. So they'll do it as well. So we have some options there. It's just often like, oh no, I have to do this thing. Okay, I can't leave you here because you're going to eat something you shouldn't. Like, so.
Yes, that's so nice that you have 2 available sitters
Yeah.
that can come for you. That's rare. That is really rare, especially for somebody whose pig will allow that person.
Well,
Well,
Snuggles is honestly very nice and very gentle with everyone. And honestly, she's better behaved for the sitters than she is for us.
yeah.
Um,
She my friend Kayla is our main one, and she loves Kayla. She'll be like, oh, Kayla's here, because Kayla has kids, so she's like, I treat her like she is a kid.
no.
And so she understands that mindset, and that's how she treats her. And like Snuggles is like, great, I like her. Like,
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is so nice. Definitely Snuggles is a great pig. Oh my goodness. She's such a good pig. What do you think has been your favorite part of having a pet pig?
The affection. Yeah.
Yeah.
The affection, because and you can tell there's a whole bunch of different ways you can tell, but you can really kind of like see it in their eyes. And like she used to kind of make like that quacking sound, you know what I'm
Oh yeah.
talking about, like that.
Uh-huh.
And as she got older, it turned into kind of like a lower like bellowing sound, right? And they're happy to see you and they missed you.
Oh, like a bark.
Yeah, and
They do
you
like a
can see
throaty
it.
little bark. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it in their eyes, right?
Mhm.
Just how much pigs care about you. And
Mhm.
when I got back from Mexico, it was the last time that she really cuddled in the bed. I was absolutely exhausted. I got in bed, and she came up the little stairs into the bed, and she came right up, and she put her head right on the pillow beside me and just went to sleep next to me. And I woke up in the morning, and she was just there laying with her head beside me, looking me in the eyes. And like that kind of affection, um it's I think it's even more meaningful because it has to be earned, right? Dogs will love you unconditionally. You are in charge of them. They are going to love you. There is, even if you abuse a dog, God forbid, but they will still love you and run back to you. Pigs require absolute trust, and to have that affection from a pig, it's like that's something really special.
Mm.
I would say the same thing. Like, there's times when I'm like pulling my hair out and be like, oh my God, what are you doing? Like, why I can't get this thing, or you're making too much noise or something. Or you get upset at her for something. And then she looks at you and you're like, oh, like, you're sorry. You're like, you come and you want to cuddle. Like, you're like, oh, okay. Like, yeah. And also I just really like their noses. So that's my favorite. I have
Yeah.
always liked pigs' noses. I think they're so cute.
Yeah, it's amazing how soft and rubbery they are, but they're so strong.
Oh yeah,
She's got the bruises to prove
I've
it.
got the bruises to prove it.
Oh, yeah.
She also like tries to lift couches with her nose and just like knock things over. And I'm like, how are you doing that? Like,
No.
but yeah, she'll rub her nose against my legs and I'll be like, ow, like this hurts.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
no, I want something.
Yeah.
Yeah, feed me.
Yes, they're so strong. Yeah, that's really sweet. I think one of my favorite things is when my pig is in a good mood and she likes me today and she lifts her head and she looks up at me and she gets like on her tiptoes. I love that. That's like one of my favorite things because that when they do that, that's full trust.
I've never seen Snuggles do that. I've never seen
Really?
him do that. Yeah.
It's
I
like
don't know.
it's
Oh,
almost like she almost sits back on her butt a little bit.
no,
No, she's
never
never
seen it.
done that. No. Although she's very, we call her like she's very unpig-like. Like she doesn't root in the ground. She'll root a little bit and then she's done. She
Yeah.
doesn't like to get dirty. She doesn't like to root in the ground. There's a lot of like things.
She won't flop.
She won't flop. You rub her belly, she won't flop. She like
She doesn't even like you rubbing her belly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Only recently, in very particular situations, will she lay down and I'll rub her belly for a couple seconds and then she'll like realize what she's done and she'll get back up. Like she really does not like, yeah. And like I've seen pigs, like you reach over and you start rubbing their belly and they just, straight legs flopped over.
Uh-huh.
No, Snuggles will sooner walk away from you. She does not want any part of that.
She'll make a disgruntled noise if she starts to flop because she's like, oh no, I'm flopping. I don't want to do that.
And she's never liked it.
Yeah.
Even when
she
she
was
was
baby.
little.
Yeah.
That is very unpig-like. You're right.
Yes. Oh no, there's so many things she does that are just like she's very, very much not like the typical pig. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, I don't even know what to say to that.
Yeah, no, it's quite weird, but I mean, like again, I think it's the whole part of her personality thing. Like she's such a unique way of doing things and of interacting, and you're like, like people, right? We all different. We all have different things, and like, that's just one thing that's unique about her.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. And that's why, like, a lot of times when people have one pig, they've had one pig for, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and then they are going to start giving other people advice in Facebook groups.
But
I'm
they're
like,
completely different pigs.
you can't, I don't think that you can give someone advice about their pig unless you've had at least 4 pigs. Because they're so different.
Yeah.
So many different things work they have preferences, completely different personalities. You're exactly right. They're just like people. It's like you can have 2 kids. One is a tomboy and one is a little princess girl. It's like they're so different. That is so funny. All right, if you had one piece of advice to give somebody who is interested in getting a pig, what do you think that would be?
Do your research. Don't just go with the fact that they're cute and that they're cute and cuddly and like, people will want to come stop you on the street. Do your research, know what you're getting into because they have those emotional attachments. And you don't want to be one of the people that like has like your pig for 2 years and then it's like my pig got too big or I can't go anywhere, whatever. Like do your research because you have to know what you're getting into because they are a commitment. They're like 20-year commitment and you have to make sure you are committed to that.
Yeah. Yeah. More granular, but in the same note, like getting a dog is one thing, but having a pig is more like having a child, right? So it's like unless you are 100% prepared for that commitment, don't do it, right? Don't do it. And it really breaks my heart seeing all of these posts, right, where people have gotten a pig and then like 6 months to 2 years, typically they are giving up on them and they're giving them up. And it's like, well, how much did you love this pig and how much were you ready for it? Because I could never imagine giving up Snuggles. Like I can't even fathom it. So being prepared for that commitment, right? But that's kind of part of the whole doing your research thing, right? It's like you really need to understand what you're getting into, and appreciate that uh, they're a little person, right? Like they will feel they're not going to attach to another human the same way that they're attached to you, right? You give them up and they aren't really going to trust people, right? You left them. So I think that's an impact on them as well. So yeah, I think it kind of comes in with the research thing, but it's understand that choice you're making, right?
Yes, that is so important. And that it really ultimately is the reason that I started this podcast. Because I thought if we could give a voice to pig owners and we could give a voice, we could share our stories and we could really share what the truth is,
Yeah,
not just the pretty social media stuff, the truth about having a pig. They all have different personalities. So knowing that and getting to hear from all these different pig owners, then people are going to be able to actually make an educated decision before
yeah.
they even bring their little piglet home.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for being here, sharing Snuggles with us and sharing your story with your pig, because it's going to have a huge impact on those who are listening, deciding if they want to get a pig in the future.
You're welcome.
Happy to be here.